When most people think of Kenya, they picture wide open savannas, lions stalking methodically through the tall grass, and herds of elephants moving majestically across the horizon. And they would be right. Safaris are the backbone of this country's tourism economy. But tucked away just outside the chaos and the car horns of downtown Nairobi is a gem that too many tourists overlook. Step through its gates, and you'll swear you just stumbled through the closet and into Narnia. This is the Karura Forest, an untamed world of bridges, waterfalls, and wild monkeys. Blink, or try to rush through your itinerary too quickly, and you could miss it entirely. 15 minutes. That's all it takes to leave the traffic, noise, and the hustle and bustle of Nairobi far behind and step into an entirely different world. I didn't realize how close Karura Forest was until I mistimed my Uber ride and showed up 20 minutes before the gates even opened. The light was still low and the shadows stretched long, and a faint mist hung above the cathedral of ancient pines. A forest ranger dressed neatly in hunter green, beret tilted sharply, and an AK-47 slung casually around his waist, welcomed me to wait by the ticket office. And there was no sense of threat in his presence, only protection of visitors, of the forest, and of the ecosystem itself. That was my very first impression, safety and reverence.
From our hearts, we are telling, we are appealing to you. Let us love our environment. Because if we do that, let us have a passion. Because environment is our life. You've seen how climate change can affect many things.
You can't even enter Karura Forest with single-use plastic, a rule that every state and national park should abide by. The place felt guarded in every sense of the word. Guarded by rangers, yes, but also by time, by trees, and by something much bigger than bureaucracy. I stood there waiting for the gates to open, feeling that anticipation that comes when you start a new trail for the first time, not knowing what's around each corner, the hushed silence before discovery, and all of the new flora you'll get to see that you just don't have back home. When the light broke through, I started walking through a dream. Towering pines, older than anything that is living on this earth right now. They rose above me like ancient ancestors. And I felt small, the way I have so many times here in Africa. These pine trees were giving me the same lesson, humility. Walking beneath them wasn't just exercise. It was like being cast as the lead in a storybook. A trail where every turn of the page was alive, with brilliant flowers, wild creatures, and other connection-seeking humans. Roots underfoot and birdsong overhead, air so thick with the scent of resin and earth that I couldn't tell if the forest was breathing me or if I was breathing the forest. It struck me that every life in Karura seems to carry its own protection, their own defense. Soldier ants march in formation, tiny little warriors armed with pincers sharp enough to pierce the skin. Even the plants have evolved with armor. Not just thorns on their stems, but bristling down their leaves as well, as if to remind you that survival here isn't an accident, it's a built-in design. And then, the monkeys, Sykes Monkeys, moving through the canopy like forest spirits. They weren't bothered by me at all. Watching them was like pressing pause on my own story, just stopping, crouching down, and letting theirs unfold. It's something I really love about Costa Rica. the joy of standing still and simply watching wild monkeys. But here, in Africa, it felt different. These weren't distant cousins. This was the motherland, the original home of the world. And these little guardians carried that same ancient presence as the towering pines. Not all the beauty was hoarded by the animals, though. Underfoot, my eyes kept drifting to the rich, nutrient dense soil, so alive, and making me question if the words soul and soil are one letter apart on purpose or by accident, as this dirt is the life source for so many East African animals. Little ponds shimmered here and there, surprising in the middle of dry season, offering the creatures a chance to cool off and rehydrate. And when I tilted my gaze upward, the canopy unfolded like a living kaleidoscope, shifting patterns of light and leaf that pulled me back to childhood wonder. Eventually, I found my way back to the main trail, the path pulling me forward towards something that was promising something greater up ahead. Each bend carried the sound of rushing water a little louder, urging me on in search of the notorious waterfall I'd heard so much about. My legs were tired, but curiosity had me wide awake. And just around the corner, the forest was about to surprise me again. I was closing in on the waterfall, following the sound of rushing water through the trees, when suddenly I heard an owl hoot. At least, I thought it was an owl. A deep echo straight from the canopy. But then it came again, longer, drawn out, and unmistakably human. I turned to a man that was currently a stranger but soon would be one of my new friends from Somalia, grinning at me and waving his arms like the wild, wacky, inflatable tube man at a car dealership, and like we'd known each other forever.
Yes. Nice to meet you. Where you from?
I come from Somalia.
Somalia.
Yeah.
America, Somalia.
Me, Somalia.
Together. Yeah, we're here.
Yeah,
The brother from Somalia.
Yeah, I'm come from Somalia.
Somalia in the house.
Yeah. Thank you.
We're here at the beautiful waterfall.
Yeah.
America and Somalia.
Somalia, America.
Together.
America or
Yeah.
Normally, I'd stand in solitude, watching the water crash endlessly, feeling the mist, and being rocked by the thought that I was listening to a sound that was older than time, and letting the gratitude wash over me. I like to meet waterfalls silently, stoically, as if they're temples. But not that day. That day was laughter, photos, and the universal bond of strangers becoming brothers for no other reason than being in the same beautiful place at the same beautiful time. That's what the waterfall gave me. Not just stillness, but connection. A reminder that nature doesn't always heal us in solitude. Sometimes it heals us through the people it sends us along the way. After the waterfall, my new friends gave me directions, and my new mission was clear: find the bike rental stand. The only problem was, I hadn't written down the directions. So I repeated them to myself like a lunatic hiker's mantra.
Okay, she said, follow this road all the way. When you get to a junction, keep to the right. And then keep walking until you see a gate like the one at the front. And there'll be a basketball court and football field. And then the bike rental should be on the left, I think.
Further along the trail, I met the Mutoma tree, also called wild jasmine.
This is the Mutoma tree, and it's used for building and medicine. It says if you eat the bark, it's good for toothaches. It actually tastes like unseasoned food. Wow, no toothache today though.
That bite was a connection to the oldest pharmacy in the world, the forest itself. When I finally arrived at the bike rental stand and switched from 2 legs to 2 wheels, the comfort level of my frolic in the forest was about to decrease. In Florida, where I live, it's flat and forgiving. Nairobi's elevation, combined with its slopes and winding hills, reminded me that I've been skipping cardio. Within minutes, I was sweating, panting, my heart pounding. I felt like I was back in a wrestling ring again, running blow-up drills. But the forest carried me. It wasn't like punishment, it was like an initiation. Every turn of the pedals and every beat of sweat felt like I was paying a toll to ride through that ancient energy. It didn't feel like a workout, it was play. The kind of play that demands everything of you, but gives even more back. Flying down those hills in Karura made me feel like a kid again. Back in the suburbs of Cleveland, bombing down the big hill in front of our house with no hands on the handlebars, daring gravity to catch us. My brother and I used to stack cinder blocks under pieces of plywood to build ramps, launching ourselves like Evel Knievel, with skinned knees as the price of glory. That same reckless joy came rushing back, only this time, Africa was my playground. Right about the time my lungs were cooked and I was walking that bike more than I was riding it, the 2-hour rental came to an end. And honestly, it was perfect timing. Another lesson from the universe and the forest that I should probably start running again when I get home. Looking back on the day, I'm grateful for everything Karura gave me. It was more than just a forest walk or a bike ride. It was a pause from the constant motion of travel, and like a reset button that grounded me in the presence of nature. The forest pushed me when I needed to be pushed, made me sweat, made me breathe deeper, and then rewarded me with stillness, connection, and even new friends. Every bend of the trail felt like a lesson, and every moment of gratitude was answered with something more than I could have even expected. Thank you, Karura Forest and its friends. Karura is not small. I hiked and biked for 9 hours and still didn't see everything. Caves, wetlands, and more trails wait for me next time. But even in a single day, the forest gave me enough. For a kid who has always dreamed of standing among the redwoods and giant sequoias of California, this was the closest I've come so far. My own postcard moment. Crescent City, written in Nairobi ink. Karura was the perfect day trip, especially after a whirlwind of travel all around rural Kenya, from Nairobi to Masai Mara to Lake Naivasha and back again, all in 1 week. It was exactly what I needed, a place that demanded sweat, curiosity, and a little deep breathing, but also provided stillness, laughter, and restoration. If you'd like to come along with me to all those places I just mentioned and countless other adventures to the wildest corners of our beautiful planet, subscribe and hit the notification button because I've got a lot more raw nature stories coming.